We had a breakthrough with our marketing. So we were trying to push it on TikTok, and we created a separate US TikTok account, but it was a bit slow. And then at one point on our UK account, after we hired a US content creator, but one of their videos went viral, and that completely changed the game for us. And with Amazon, your ranking depends on how much you sell. So because we had that viral video, our sales rate shot up. So then we established our ranking, and from then, that kind of solidified our place in the US Amazon market.
Nicola Robinson and Tolu Abisogun are the creators of Berserk Games, a cheeky and irreverent drinking games brand which has been making waves both in the UK and the US. They created the company during the pandemic and have now sold more than 50,000 units. In the highly competitive world of games, this is impressive. Today, we're going to delve into their remarkable journey and uncover how they did it. Stay tuned as we explore how they overcame personal challenges to create an exciting disruptor brand, building a side hustle with just $2,000 in the startup pot. Welcome, Tolu and Nicola.
Hi, thank you so much. That was nice.
It's always nice to hear an intro about yourself because you're like, wow, I'm amazing. I've done so much. So tell us the story then. So it's the midst of the pandemic, everyone's stuck at home, and you guys are like, right, let's start a business. So talk me through the thought process.
So I can start. So I think I speak for Nicola and myself when I say that we've both always wanted to start a business. We just never sort of knew what the right business would be. And when the business was registered, I was 21. Not much has changed, but I always loved a good games night, whether it's like hosting it or like attending one, because it's such a great way to like meet people and just have a lot of fun. But at the time, there wasn't much competition. There wasn't many games that were that good. That I noticed. So it was pretty easy to sort of put like one together. Like, I want to start a business. I've noticed this gap. So I definitely wanted to start something within this industry. And then luckily we had a mutual friend who sort of noticed that we're both kind of going through the same thoughts in terms of wanting to start something similar. And then she connected us, which was great. Nicola.
Yeah. So you met through this venture. You weren't friends previously.
No. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you found that that's been actually a really straightforward partnership, and you kind of really bonded through that urge to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah, like from our first conversation, I just knew that like the partnership made sense. So it's been great since we started.
And Nicola, tell me about the competitive landscape then, because I mean, I haven't played drinking games for a long time, or like party games, but I remember them being super cringe. So were you also like trying to find games that were like more your speed, and finding that the actual games that you could get your hands on were missing something, or were maybe not quite catered to your age or your particular kind of interests?
Yeah. So when I was at uni, we just used regular cards and made up drinking games with just a standard deck of cards. But the point when I decided to start a drinking card game business was I ordered a beer pong set for my birthday, and it came with like the cups, the balls, and also a drinking game, but it was written in such bad English, but it was still really fun to play. But yeah, the cards were really crappy, and I thought, like, I could do this, but I can do it better. And that's what inspired me to start thinking about how can I do this and how can I start this business. And as Tolu said, we had a mutual friend, and I was telling my friend about this, and she was like, oh, one of my friends had basically the same idea. So then, we set up a call and had a chat about it, and decided to work together.
If you didn't believe in fate before, you will after hearing this story. So then, what were the next steps? Like, what is the path you follow when you're trying to create a game? Is it like playing around in Canva, or is it like trying to work out a marketing plan, or trying to sort of figure out where you can get them printed? Like, tell me what your steps were to actually go from idea to reality.
So I'd say in the beginning, it was about knowing what sort of game we wanted to create in the first place. So we agreed on this like 3-in-1 sort of drinking game because it was sort of different to what was already on like offer on Amazon and stuff like that. So it was about knowing the product that we wanted to create and then actually like writing questions for it, doing the designs for it, working with a designer to get it produced, and then looking for manufacturers. And Nicola was really great with that. She can speak on that.
Yeah, so I think in the first instance we looked in the UK, but UK manufacturers were really expensive, especially for the small quantities. So then we decided to outsource. So I started looking for manufacturers in China. So I did this through Alibaba. So it was a case of sending a brief to probably about 20 different card game manufacturers in China and then seeing who would probably be the most reliable, who's given us the most effective, like cost-effective price for it as well. And it just went from there, and it built up relationships with a couple of factories, and then we decided to use one, and they've been really great since.
How did you determine they'd be reliable? Did you manage to speak to anyone else that worked with them, or were there reviews that you thought were quite trustworthy? How did you figure out which of this pack? Because that's quite a lot of options to have to start with.
So Alibaba does quite a good job at verifying manufacturers, and they have basically a tiered system of how approved certain manufacturers are. So I did a lot of research into that and the different accreditations different manufacturers can have. And then also, so I spoke to them, also read reviews about them. So there was quite a good picture that formed around them, and speaking to them as well, they were really responsive. They respond so quickly and they're very on top of everything. So yeah, it was a little bit of a gamble. It could have gone wrong, but at the same time, we did our due diligence, and yeah, they were really good.
Yeah, just to add to that as well, getting samples as well is probably the best thing. So we did get samples in the beginning just to make sure that they were the right fit for us, and the samples that we received back were great. So we just knew that this was the manufacturer we would work with.
Oh yeah, so try before you buy. Great advice. And then how did you start making sales? Because you can have the best product in the world, but no one knows who you are. No one even maybe knows that they even want what you're making. So how did you bridge that gap?
So in the first instance, we had a launch party. So it was in my house at the time, we just invited a bunch of friends and family over to play our games. And yeah, they really liked it. We had a really good time. It was really fun. So that kind of gave us the confidence to, launch on social media and make a plan. So our first sales came through friends, and then it was friends sharing on social media. Then we started launching campaigns on TikTok as well, and we put the products on Amazon. So yeah, the early days, it was the support of friends and family before it went wider.
And I definitely want to hear about how you made the products a success on Amazon and also the campaign on TikTok, because there's so many videos, there's so much content on there. How did you make it stand out? Was it literally just showing people playing and having a good time, or was there a cleverer, more sort of salesy, soft salesy way of actually getting people to click, I want to buy this?
I think from a marketing perspective, because of the cards themselves, there's this sort of like shock factor when you might read some of the questions. So that was really good for our marketing, because when you go on TikTok and you see a question that might be quite relatable to you, or might be quite funny, or you might think of a friend, that gets people to sort of look on our page and look through our other products. And then from there, there's a lot of like cross-platform. So if they go on our TikTok, they might search the game on Amazon. That's what happened a lot as well. So we found that to be pretty good for us.
And tell us about the games. So for the people listening who maybe haven't heard of Berserk and haven't played, like what's on offer? And maybe give me an example of the kind of shock factor questions that you're referring to.
So we sell drinking games, couples games, party games, stuff like that. We've got Truth or Dare. We've even got like a PDF print and play game as well. So yeah, we do have a range of 6 products. That are all very good. You should check us out, especially on our website. And the questions can be quite daring, should I say? Like on Brutal Hangover, there's a lot about like, exes and stuff like that. And then we've got our couples games, which encourage like intimacy and things like that. So I think we just like hit the nail on the head in terms of just being able to get that like customer reaction. And it works really well.
And I've read your testimonials, and I've seen from your kind of press release that there are people who really love the games that you've created. And I mean, but how did you put together the questions? Because you're not like 50 years old, having spent 40 years in the games industry, or even in like, you know, a particular psycho, I don't know what the word would be, but like, you know, understanding human psychology and doing stuff from that angle. So how did you hit the nail on the head with the questions?
So at the time, Tolly was a student. I just graduated. So we were our target audience. So we were at uni at the time, like basically making up these like kind of questions and hosting games nights and things like that. So it kind of came naturally to us. We also did a lot of research around different types of questions and what could be put in. We looked at what competitors had in their games and what we thought worked well and what didn't. But yeah, a lot of it was just being creative and asking friends as well what they thought of certain questions. And with some of our products, like a couples game, we took a chance. And but we did have some friends that we asked to test it and write like full feedback on it. So that really helped, and we did adapt based on feedback we got from people.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask, is how many iterations have there been? Like, have you had feedback where you've been like, right, let's just get rid of that card and add this card, or can you pretty much say that the first decks that you created have stayed pretty constant throughout?
Yeah, I'd say they've stayed pretty constant. There might be the odd card that we might change, but most of which, like from when we launched that initial product, there isn't too much change between then and now, which is good. So we do try and get it right the first time.
Okay, cool. And do you guys still have day jobs? And tell me about that. Like, how do you manage a business that's growing this fast alongside a kind of full-time job? And what is it that you take from your day job that has been useful in your side hustle?
A lot of what I've learned at work I've used in my business. So it's been really useful because as I've gone through my career, a lot of the skills I've picked up and then using those to grow Berserk Games as well. It is hard work doing both because it is like having a second part-time-ish, part-time / full-time job at times. But it just requires being really organised and scheduling, I guess, like waking up early, working on Berserk Games before I go to work, and then probably doing a little bit in the evening. But it's just careful planning and organisation. And it also just makes you prioritise a little bit more. Sometimes you can't do everything. So we prioritise. And then we also outsource some things. So for example, like now we have a team of content creators. So we don't do as much content creating ourselves. So that frees up some of our time. And so it's just a case of, I guess, it's a case of like, how can we grow the business while, spending as little time on it as possible?
For me, I'd say it's definitely not for the weak. Like, it is tough, to be honest. And from when I graduated, like, I've sort of changed roles over time. And I feel like the roles that I have been in, I've learned something from each that I could sort of add it to Berserk Games. So I think that's a really valuable thing in terms of having a 9-to-5 at the same time. But growing a business and having a 9-to-5, it definitely isn't easy. It does feel like you're sort of working 24/7, but at the same time, it's what I enjoy doing. I would say I don't really have much free time because my free time is spent on the business, but that's not something that I mind because it's something I'm passionate about. So
And when you say you've taken something from each role that you've had since graduating, can you give me a concrete example of like a transferable skill?
So I'd say, when I graduated, I got into a graduate scheme in project management at a bank. And that really helped at the beginning in terms of like structuring our admin stuff, which is obviously really basic, but there's a lot of things that you just don't know. And that role really taught me a lot in terms of just like operationally, how to write things, how to translate things, in terms of having meetings as well and how to conduct those. So that definitely helped with how we've grown up until this point.
That's really interesting. And did you always feel really confident that this business would succeed? Or do you feel like the confidence has grown as you've reached different milestones and the business has sort of taken on a life of its own? Where does the confidence in its future come from?
Well, for me, honestly, it's been a fake it until you make it situation. Like, I had no idea how well this business would have done, but I always knew that I was going to do really well at something. I just didn't know what. And I'm so happy that like this is the business that has done well. So it's just, I've just always had this ambition, I'd say, since I was really young, like 13, 14, I've always been writing a business plan, trying to make something work for myself. So I'd say a mixture of like ambition and a bit of delusion has led me to be like quietly confident about this business. I'm not sure about Nicola.
Okay. So for me, I wasn't very confident starting out, but I was ambitious. And I guess same as Tolu, I always wanted to start a business and I knew I'd succeed at something, even if it wasn't this. But yeah, I invested a lot of my personal time in developing my skills. And, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, I read a lot of books. So yeah, I put the hours in and then, we started having success. And I guess as we've had more and more success, my confidence has grown. And now we look back at like all that we've done and it's like, wow, we've actually done so much. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't say I started confident, but yeah, I've grown to be more confident.
And that startup pot, am I right that it's about £2,000 that you started with? And was that like, did you each put £1,000 in? Was that sort of savings at the time? And how did you keep costs low? Because that's not a huge amount of money to start a product-based business.
Yeah, so at the time, so as I said, I just graduated, Tolu's still a student. So yeah, we put in 2K, but it felt like a lot of money to us at the time. And yeah, it was our savings essentially. And we placed a first order of 1,000 units. And then we spent some money on Amazon and a little bit of money on marketing. But yeah, I guess spending that money, we were like, we need this to succeed. And we had our plan A, our plan B, and our plan C in case it didn't succeed. But it did. And then we ended up putting another £2,000 in because we actually sold out of our first batch of stock within I think it was a few months. So, and the lead times on shipping are about 2 months. So yeah, about a month to a month and a half in, we're like, oh my God, did we put more money into this business? And at the time it was like, oh my God, this is literally like everything we have. But then, yeah, it was so successful. It grew from there.
That's amazing that you like took the risk, but had the plan B and the plan C. I want to know what the plan B and the plan C were. What were you going to do if like people weren't buying the games? What were you going to kind of sell them wholesale somewhere or pulp them?
So yeah, plan A, I guess, was Amazon and it was our website. So then we thought, okay, maybe we could flog something on TikTok. Not TikTok. We thought maybe we could flog something on eBay. We thought potentially we could do a market stall to get rid of the stock.
Okay.
Things like that, basically.
Okay.
Or give them to charity shopping.
Well, luckily you didn't have to do any of that. I want to know what's super interesting about your brand is that you are big in the UK, but also in the States and Canada. And there's not that many kind of British product startups that seem to really be a hit on both sides of the pond, especially not in the early days. Was that just an organic thing, or did you make a conscious play for the US consumer? How did you find that success over the pond?
We always knew that we wanted to go global, but obviously we had to focus on the UK first. And then naturally, especially on Amazon, it was doing really well on Amazon UK. So when we launched on Amazon US, it sort of just followed suit, which was great, like naturally. And then we've also partnered with like content creators in Canada and in the US and other brands and podcasts as well. So that's really helped with our like brand awareness. So it was just trying these like different things to sort of see how far we could like reach on the other side of the pond. But yeah, I'd say Amazon was definitely really great for us.
Okay, that's interesting.
Just to add to that as well, I guess with Amazon on the US, it wasn't a hit straight away. And yeah, we definitely found it a lot harder to start because there was so much more competition in the US. There's so many more drinking games out there. And we had the stock in the warehouse for a few months and we're only selling like 1 or 2 units and it was really slow. And then we had a breakthrough with our marketing. So we were trying to push it on TikTok and we created a separate US TikTok account, but it was a bit slow. And then at one point on our UK account, after we hired a US content creator, but one of their videos went viral and that completely changed the game for us. And with Amazon, your ranking depends on how much you sell. So because we had that viral video, our sales rate shot up. So then we established our ranking, and from then, that kind of solidified our place in the US Amazon market.
What was in the video that went viral?
Honestly, not loads. So it was mainly the content creator. And I think she might have put some text on the card just to like draw people in, like on the screen, I mean. And then she just like showed the cards. And as I mentioned before, that shock factor. The US, they have a drinking culture over there as well. So I think it really played into what they like as well. So that's basically what happened.
Okay.
And I'd love to know, like, whether you think that post-pandemic, the need for games like this that bring people together and help forge bonds, even between strangers, that you've sort of hit on a zeitgeist in a weird way. Like, we seem to be in a loneliness epidemic in the UK, and it's not just the elderly, but young people are claiming high rates of loneliness. So do you feel like you had this great idea, but it also just happens to be culturally what people are crying out for?
Yeah, I'd say especially like during COVID, that definitely did actually help our business because a lot of people were just at home, they didn't have much to do. You want to spend more time with like friends or family, like within your house. So getting a card game was really great for that. And as you mentioned, a lot of people are really lonely and becoming more like, that fact is more evident as we get older. And our games definitely encourage, people to get to know each other better on a deeper level as well, which is really great. So I feel like COVID had definitely helped, but then also just being aware of what people are actually dealing with and ways that we can actually help them. So yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. And did you make any mistakes? Like, is there anything looking back that you wish you'd done differently?
For me personally, not really. Just because I feel like, we started this business when we were quite young. We're not going to know everything. Even if we were much older starting, like you're not going to know everything. Starting a business is all about trial and error, learning from your mistakes. Yeah, there are certain things that we sort of wish we knew and we'd already implemented from the beginning, but how do you grow as a person or as a business? It's inevitable that you're going to make mistakes. So I personally wouldn't say I have like any regrets, or I don't think I would have done anything differently. Like looking back at how we launched, probably be pretty similar to the way we launched. So yeah, I'm not sure about Nicola.
I agree with what Tolly said, where I guess it's just, there's things that maybe starting a business, again, we would do maybe slightly differently, but in general, overall, there's nothing big that I wish we would have done differently. But I guess for me, the small things maybe would have been things like paying more attention to like policies of like third party retailers, or maybe using a few more experts along the way. So for example, like with our content, like we edit a lot of the content ourselves and the images, and that takes hours, but we probably could have outsourced that task. And it wouldn't have cost that much, but it would have saved us a lot of time. So small things like that. But in terms of our overall business journey, there's nothing I wish like we could completely change.
And sometimes taking that time and being really painstaking about being involved in every step of the product creation ends up being useful down the line anyway, because not only do you get how it's done, you're completely invested and it's totally on you, which is like a next level of sort of accountability, I suppose. And just talking to you both, it's clear that you're both really driven, really focused on making this a success and yourselves a success. So I want to talk to you both separately about your kind of lives and how you've built resilience. I'm going to start with you, Nicola, if that's okay. So tell me about sort of the experiences that have shaped you as an entrepreneur and how you have, I guess, learned to be a resilient person.
I guess from when I was young, I was always really ambitious and I always wanted to do better. So I grew up quite poor. So for me, I always wanted to change my lifestyle. So, I went to uni, I was pushed by my parents to go to uni, I went to uni. And then after uni, I got my grad job. But then I thought, what else can I do? And it started with small little side hustles that I did. Like, for example, I tried to resell tickets at one point. They didn't go that well, but might have made a couple £100. Probably wasn't worth the time, but I tried. And then I used to tutor a lot. So I used to tutor in my free time. And then we started Berserk Games, and for me it was a case of just trying to, I guess, better my life, and I thought, what more can I do, and how can I level myself up? So yeah, that kind of so that drive and ambition, I guess, led us to be quite successful now.
And just on that, do you feel, Nicola, like you are more secure now and having this sort of second string to your bow in terms of income? Has that made a big difference, or is it more that you're hoping it will make a big difference down the line that you invest this time and effort now?
It's definitely made a big difference to my life. I was able to buy my own property at 23, which I wouldn't have been able to do had I not started the business. So it has changed my life. It's made my life more comfortable, and like now I'm, gone on and I'm also doing other projects, and I would like to be, a full-time entrepreneur down the line. So it's all steps I'm taking to try and achieve that.
That's amazing. And Tolu, to you, because you've had a really interesting and quite challenging at points life. Do you mind sharing a bit about your journey and how that shaped you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, sure. So like I grew up in foster care from like a baby up until 18 years old, and I moved around a lot. Like I wouldn't say I had a family growing up, which is really tough. I remember I was literally like in my last year of sixth form, and I was living in a hostel, and I was on benefits, and that type of life like most people wouldn't experience. So it definitely feels like I was thrown into the deep end. And it's been quite difficult to sort of get out of that. But from a really young age, like I've just always known that I wanted to be successful. For some reason as well, I've been hyper aware to the statistics like surrounding children in care and care leavers, stats that like most people aren't aware of. Like, for example, 25% of the homeless population have experienced care, which I think is absolutely insane. So stats like that have driven me, because I know I wanted to be on the complete opposite end of that. So that's driven me in like all areas of my life growing up, whether it's sports, academia, business, or like corporate. It's definitely just been a fuel for me. And I've always just said to myself that like I knew, and I know that I will like make something of myself. It's not a matter of if, but when. So yeah, it definitely does drive me, but it has been tough.
Do you feel like not having that family unit has made you that much more conscious than, I suppose, many people, of how hard you have to rely on yourself, and that you are the only agent of change in your life, basically?
That fact is like, it's played a lot in my head, like growing up, knowing that I literally can't fall back on anyone if I ever need anything. It's like I have to sort it out completely on my own. And especially for care leavers, there isn't much support out there. You're sort of left to your own devices with a completely empty council flat when you're like 17, 18. And it's really tough. Like just being an adult is hard, but being a teen and having to like manage your own home and do all these things that you're like people around you aren't having to do. They might have some support from family and stuff like that. It can be quite difficult. And being honest, the majority of care leavers aren't able to sort of like work it out for themselves, understandably. Thankfully, for some reason, I feel like I've just been born with this like drive. And one day I want to be able to use that to sort of like help other care leavers and stuff.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, because it gives you this platform when you have a successful business. Because not only if the business stands on its own 2 feet, you then have resources to actually make a difference, whether that's through giving a percentage of profits or just like being a platform where you could promote other charities. So tell me what you would love to do, maybe stuff that you're doing, baby steps now, but stuff that you would like to contribute in terms of helping other kids and people who've come through the care system.
So previously I've been really like gung-ho about like raising awareness about children in care and care leavers. So I have appeared on like BBC, like BBC Two as well, and radio and stuff like that, just talking about our experiences. But in the future, I'd say like I want to be successful to a point where I can start my own program or offer funding or something like that, just to create some sort of like resort for care leavers specifically to be able to come to and know that they can get some help, whether it's therapy or some money or just something, because I know exactly how it feels to sort of like go through life and like not have anything and not have anyone to turn to. So I definitely want to like bridge that gap for them. I wouldn't say I'm at that point yet. Like Berserk is doing well, but I definitely need to make a lot more money to make the difference that I want to make. So hopefully soon, very soon.
I think you're probably underestimating the difference you can make just by being a visible woman who has come through the system and is standing on her own 2 feet and is like really ambitious and bold about her future. I think that's probably quite a lot to be starting with, just to be visible doing that and talking about your beginning. So I wouldn't sell yourself short on that scale. Um, and then Nicola, am I right? You did a degree in economics. Is that true? Now, what does a degree in economics actually teach you about running a business? Because I want to know how much of that is like stuff that you can really put to work in your business building, and how much of it is like lofty over there, or or were you really studying things like unit economics and stuff that was really applicable to Berserk?
I'd say the things I probably learned in first year were quite applicable to the business. So we did some modules in accountancy, we did some modules in law, and we did a business module. So those were quite relevant to starting a business. But to be honest, with second year and final year of uni, it gets quite in depth and it's a lot of theory. And I struggled with my degree, especially in final year. So I probably didn't take in a lot of what we learned in final year. But I think like A-level and first year of uni economics, I think those are the most applicable sections of the course to real life business, and that some of those skills are skills I still use today, and that have helped me succeed in business.
And what about the future of Berserk? So you said you've got 6 products, is that right? Do you feel under pressure to keep making new ones? Is this enough for now? Talk to me about the plan for the future.
I think definitely for this year and like a little bit of next year, like what we have right now is enough. And we want to make sure that, a lot of homes in the UK have our products. When people think about drinking games, there isn't really a company that comes to mind. So we want to build ourselves up to be that company. Just like, a lot of homes have Monopoly. We want them to have something like Berserk Games. So that's what we're sort of working towards. And then I guess in the future, we still want to obviously grow overseas. So America, Canada, and then potentially launching in Australia as well at some point. So we do have a lot of like big growth goals. So watch this space.
And the drinking game genre, do you ever get any backlash, or are you ever worried that when you read the statistics about how many young people, for example, are not drinkers, they don't really go out, they're not as sociable, does that worry you in terms of like a possible trend that could be challenging? Or do you actually feel like there are enough people out there that still want to play drinking games?
Yeah, do you know what? I know that there are a lot of people that, want to stop drinking and stuff like that. And I definitely understand. But especially within the UK, like we have a drinking culture. I did read somewhere that like 72% of people drink. I don't see that statistic really going down too much anytime soon. So I wouldn't say it's much of a problem for us. But if it ever does become one, like it wouldn't be an issue for us to release a game that's great for non-drinkers as well. I feel like as a business, we're quite good at adapting. So that could potentially happen.
And are you constantly jotting down ideas for future games? Like, are you calling each other or WhatsApping, being like, I've got it, I've got the next smash hit?
We definitely exchange ideas a lot, especially me. I'd say Nicola's very much she's really smart. She's very much like money, like Tolu, like remain focused. You have all these ideas, which is great, but like just remain focused, which I really love about her. So we do have lots of ideas and stuff, but we do just want to remain focused and grow what we currently have and make sure that's big enough before we start, adding other things to the mix.
Can you each tell me something that you really, value and appreciate about the entrepreneurial skill, or even just like personal abilities of the other person? I want to hear that.
I can start. So Nicola, she's really great with, obviously she studied economics, but aside from that, like she's really great with finance and accounting, and that's really important when it comes to running a business, obviously. And she's obviously really great with e-commerce, and she really led with Amazon too. So I do appreciate having her as part of the team, because we definitely wouldn't have grown to where we are today without her. And it's also really good to have someone who's super level-headed, and their focus is like our revenue and our financial growth as well. So that's really helped our business.
one thing that I really value working with Tolu is she's so creative and she's so good at the marketing side of the business. So yeah, she's had some amazing ideas for like TikTok videos and also like PR and influencer activity. So that's really good because that really complements me because I'm more focused on the numbers and like the hard business stuff. Whereas you do, obviously, for a business to be successful, you do need to market it and you do need a lot of creativity as well around that. And Tolu's amazing at that side of the business.
Oh, fantastic. This is such a lovely moment. It's like a mutual appreciation society. But do you ever disagree? And have there been any big disagreements and how did you resolve it?
Yeah, like we don't agree on everything. I wouldn't say we've had any like major disagreements that have really affected our like relationship, which is great. So I feel like we're really good at communicating and just getting our points across. But I think it's good to have disagreements, to be honest, because you get to learn different perspectives, you're able to adapt, compromise, and then create something even better in the end. It's not great to just have like a yes man, to be honest. So I think the different perspectives is really good for us.
Amazing. And then just finally, I just want to leave with a little bit of advice, if you don't mind sharing it, for anyone who's listening, who's perhaps in their 20s, like you were when you started Berserk Games. What would you tell them in order to get off to a flying start? Like, what is it that they should be focusing on? Is there a particular industry that you think is ripe for innovation? What would you tell another 20-something who's like, right, I want to be a success?
For me, it'd be like just take small steps. So think about what your current skill set is and think about, I guess, what you can do to monetize that. And I think anyone can start a successful business. But yeah, I think the key to starting a successful business is definitely like planning and educating yourself and also sometimes making the right connections and the right contacts and putting yourself out there a little bit. So yeah, I recommend going to networking events like YouTube videos. That it's amazing how much you can learn on YouTube. And yeah, read books and make sure you have a solid business plan and have a plan A, plan B, plan C.
That sounds like a full-time job in itself. Like wake up, have breakfast, watch YouTube videos, then do your planning in the afternoon, and then out in the evenings networking with people that could help the business thrive. Yeah, that's like full-time, full bore. It is
a full-time job. It's definitely a big commitment. Yeah, like I probably thought about starting a business or starting this particular business maybe 2 years before I did it. So I wanted to start an Amazon business. I just didn't know what product to do. But I did so much research into how Amazon businesses work. And I spent about 2 years researching it till I actually had the idea. And then it went quite quickly from there. But it went quite quickly because I already done so much pre-work to it.
Okay, amazing. And you, Tolu?
Similar to what Nicola said, I would say plan. Like that is the most important thing. Even from like if you're hearing this right now, start right now. Like you need to plan your business plan that needs to be written, marketing plan, financial plan, create a life plan. Like you just need a plan because like if you don't plan, then what are you actually going to do? You need to. I feel like you need to see your vision, whether it's like on Word or on paper or something. Like it just needs to be written down, as you're more likely to achieve it as well if it is written down. So yeah, so me, I'd say plan. That's it.
Oh, that's great advice. So lovely to meet you both. What a cool business. What a cool future you've got ahead. Thank you so much for joining me, making the time. I really appreciate it and lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure.
So check out Berserk Games on TikTok and Instagram. And don't forget to leave this podcast a review if you enjoyed the episode. That's the best way to help others find us. As always, you can find the show notes and so much more at sage.com/podcast. I'm your host, Bex Byrne Calendar, and we are back in 2 weeks with more sound advice.